engineer error? Cattle blocking the tracks? That couldn't be right. The train wouldn't stop for an animal. My God, was another train heading toward them? Not possible, not in this age of automation. Lightning flashed across the sky. Another onslaught of snowfall slapped the windows, and again she recoiled. She hugged her belly and glanced up at the sandy-haired man, who was still standing and looking out the windows. His knuckles were white from gripping the seat back. Why was he still standing there? He should have sat down and fastened his seatbelt. He cupped a hand over his eyes as if shielding them from a harsh glare, then sighed loudly. "What's wrong?" she asked in a quavering voice. The shriek of the brakes intensified. The sandy-haired man fought to stay upright as the viewing car shook back and forth with hard jolts. In California, they'd called this an earthquake. My God, what if the train derailed? "Sit down, buddy!" The older gentleman behind them shouted to the sandy-haired man. "Are you out of your mind?" "My lord!" the older woman screamed. "Sir, please tell me what's wrong," Margo implored. "I can't see anything in front of us." He met her eyes, then shouted to all the passengers. "People, we have a life-and-death situation. We have to get to the back of the train now." What? Walk through a train that was about to careen off the track? He really was out of his mind. But he sounded so authoritative, like a cop. "What for?" one of the teenagers asked. "There's no time for a debate," he said. "Let's move." He looked at Margo. "We have to go now if you want to live." Chapter 2. Whatever was happening, Margo was not about to try to walk, not in her condition. If she fell, the baby could be harmed. That wasn't a risk she was willing to take. Refusing to take no for an answer, the man held his hands out to her, bracing himself against the seat with his body. She shook her head. "I can't." "Listen up, everyone," he said. "An avalanche is heading down that mountain. There's no way the train can avoid it. It will bury us all alive." Immobilized, she could only stare into his steely blue eyes. The sky lit up with bolts of electricity. The wind had become even more ferocious, and what seemed like boulders of snow bombarded their train car. The public address system crackled on. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your conductor. Everyone please remain seated. Do not panic. We're making an emergency stop. The train is riding rough because the engineer is applying the emergency brakes. Perfectly normal. Please stay calm and remain seated. Doing so is the best way to avoid injuries. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated." Don't panic. Stay calm. The last thing anyone could be feeling was calm. "We have to get to the back of the train," the sandy-haired man bellowed again. Why in the world would he tell them to get to the back of the train? It didn't make sense. Then she understood. Getting to the back would be logical only if the train couldn't stop in time. If a snowslide hit them, the train could very well derail, which meant that, depending on the timing of the avalanche, the back of the train was the safest place to be. Her fear level spiked a few notches higher. Blood rushed to her head, and her ears started to pound. She hugged her belly. How she wished the act of surrounding her child with her arms would be enough to protect the baby from a potentially fatal train crash. As an ER doctor, Margo Fletcher made a living staying calm in life-and-death situations. Some of her colleagues whispered that she was detached, a machine. She knew that. She was far from a machine, but had spent years trying to cultivate that image at work. Emotion interfered with efficiency. Now, for one of the few times in her adult life, she was paralyzed. She had no idea what to do. She tried to take the conductor's advice. Don't panic. Panic resulted in bad decisions. Panic turned otherwise good doctors into quacks. "Everyone on this train sitting like stone figurines thinks I'm panicking, but it's the other way around," the sandy-haired man said, as if reading her mind.